This is Matthew McConaughey.
Natalie Portman.
James Patterson.
Michael Ian Black.
And you are listening to
Five Questions
with Dan Schawbel.
Kevin, welcome to Five Questions.
Thank you so much for having me.
What advice and inspiration did you get from your parents growing up?
The advice and inspiration I got from my parents growing up. Advice I got to remember that there's always somebody else a little bit more hungry than yourself getting into things. So that, in a way, kind of, push yourself harder, keep practicing, keep working at the things you love, because somebody else wants it a little bit more than you do. And so there you go.
It's true. Yeah. If you start slacking off, there's somebody out there who might have similar ideas to you, but they can put in the extra 5 hours that you're not putting in because you're busy watching too many hours of Netflix.
Yeah. Binge watching is healthy. I think at times you need it. You need a full brain shutdown. But the other advice that my parents gave us was, even if you're at the top, live like you're at the bottom. And I think that was critical for us to try to maintain a realistic outlook at life.
Yeah, being humble and not taking things for granted.
Totally.
What was the process of teaming up with your wife for this series of children's books?
Process is pretty simple. We've always wanted to do a children's book, even like from early on when we were married. And we thought maybe we should wait till we have kids. So we waited for stories that actually were close to our heart and close to the whole experience to bring them to the children's books themselves. So we actually had a very similar story to the first book we did. There's, the rock concert in my bedroom, which is our daughter got extremely nervous about a performance she had to do. But luckily, she was able to calm down and chill out and had a little charm bracelet to keep herself self-centered. And the same with the second book. There's a beach in my bedroom, same family, same ideas, but this one's about disappointment. So we all deal with disappointment in our lives and how plans can change, but especially for children, it feels like the world is ending. And this book, talks about the fact that you're going to the beach for a day, and luckily it doesn't work out, right? It starts to rain. Well, it's making the best of that in the moment.
Yeah, and of course, you just summarized the two books. But what lessons specifically can children learn from the books that will help them overcome these topics of adversity and just living a more joyful life like you have?
Absolutely. I think the second book, There's a Beach in My Bedroom, really, we deal with it every single day in our household. My schedule changes constantly. So there's a lot of times where I'm supposed to be home, where now there's something else that has happened where I've got to do a show here or go there for whatever reason. So my girls have become accustomed to the idea that plans can change. No, they're not always happy about it. Even myself, I'm not happy about it. But it's about how you respond to that I think matters. And it's ever changing, ever learning. But we just have to try to do the best we can. And I think that what this book is really about. It's just, we're working towards always finding the best version of yourself and the way you handle situations.
And I think the big word now in skill set is being able to adapt to change. I think especially after the past 3 years coming out of the pandemic. And of course, you're more of an extreme case because you're touring around the world. You have so much stuff going on in a given moment. But I think everyone can relate to the fact that, it's like that. I love the Mike Tyson quote, like, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly. And it's very similar to that, right? Like this book, it's a simple one, right? Going to the beach. You're very excited. You wake up, you're ready to go. It's thundering and lightning outside. You're not going to the beach. Maybe you are, but I don't advise on it. But the thing is, how you make it special, because that's what really is. It's not about the beach, right? In this book, it's about the time spent as a family together, and it's that bond that matters, and how you make that still matter in the midst of ever-changing moments.
And what is you and your brother's unspoken rule when it comes to parenting, and why did you come up with it?
Our unspoken rule, it's now spoken for sure, is we don't give each other advice when it comes to our kids. Yeah. We do not give any parenting advice, and I think that's actually hypercritical for our mental and physical health. We know that those things will backfire because no one really wants unsolicited advice, especially about kids. So we're lucky that we have each other to lean on when we need it, but we definitely don't give each other advice.
And a lot of really successful people have told me through this podcast and various other interviews I've done that when people give you advice, they're sort of giving you advice for them, even though it comes off as it's for you, because it's what they would do in your situation.
Yeah, it's almost like they emulate them. They imagine themselves in your situation and what would they say to themselves. And really, sometimes that's not what you need to hear. Sometimes the advice you need isn't advice. It's more just, that really is not, that sucks. That's awful. And it's just like, I'm sorry. And sometimes you just need someone to listen. We don't need advice. We don't need a response. We just need to be heard.
And speaking of advice, what's your best piece of career advice?
My best piece of career advice, I would say, be present in the moments that are happening. I think I missed out on too many moments in the past, because in successful moments, exciting moments, and even bad moments, be present, because I think everything is a learning experience. But if you're always focused on the next thing, you will miss out on the beauty that you have right in front of you.
I think that's beautiful. And it's very common for a successful person to respond like that too. Not that they have it in this form all the time, but it's because it's always like, what's the next, it's like with your publisher, what's the next book? What's the next city you're performing in?
My calendar and my day sheet is consistently changing every single minute. So I'm always thinking about logistic of the next move or whatever. So to take it all back in and say, oh my gosh, today has been a crazy day. But I've done a lot of press today because I have a book coming out, and that's really amazing. I have a TV show coming out next week. That's amazing. I have a tour starting in August. That's really amazing. So it's like all of these things culminating to one moment, but it's like, wow, I'm reliving and living in the best moment of my life. So actually focus in the center and be present. I think that matters more than anything else.
Well, that's great advice. And thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you for having me.